Hey everyone, Dan here, and as of yesterday, I have officially hit 1,000 subscribers. And fun fact, 1,000 subscribers is the threshold needed to monetize videos here on YouTube. Because of that, I can officially sell out. This video is brought to you by no one. We're doing a Q&A to celebrate the subscriber milestone, so let's just get into it. Rallying for Transit asks, what is your favorite WMATA Metro line? It's hard to pick one specific line with how similar they all are. They all have the same rail infrastructure, the same stations, the same trains. They're all pretty much identical. But personally, I would have to say the Red Line. It is home to some of the oldest, most storied, and most iconic stations on the entire network, as well as tracks that are elevated, cut and cover, deep bore, and at grade. Oh, and of course it has views of the Brentwood rail yard as well as the rail yards for Mark VRE and Amtrak, so plenty of phone reviews around Union Station. And so many of the network's most famous stations are on the Red Line. We're talking places like Wheaton, Fort Totten, Forest Glen, DuPont Circle, or Bethesda. Though I do also want to give an honorable mention to the Blue Line. It starts off in the failed urbanist experiments in Prince George's County before going through the struggling working class neighborhoods of inner Prince George's County and southern DC. It goes through the Capitol Hill neighborhood and weaves around the National Mall with a stop on the National Mall, before going under the Potomac into Virginia into DC's true downtown in Roslyn. Hot take, I know. After a somber stop at Arlington Cemetery and past the Pentagon, we enter the new developments around Crystal City and Potomac Yard. Oh, with a stop at National Airport. Then we go by the historic Old Town Alexandria before heading into the suburban hellscape that is Springfield. So the Blue Line hits up like every part of DC. So anyone coming to DC to see Metro specifically, I think the Red Line is the best one, but anyone coming to DC to see the city, I think the Blue Line is the best option. Rallying for Transit also asks, what's your transit hot take? American light rail systems like those seen in Phoenix, Dallas, or Denver are fine. They're not perfect, don't get me wrong, but they're fine. It's pretty unrealistic to expect any city in the US to build a metro system from scratch these days, but there have been recent examples of cities building out fairly large light rail networks from scratch, particularly Dallas comes to mind. Light rail is cheaper, more flexible, and can be put up a lot quicker than a heavy rail metro. Of course, this flexibility ends up leading to compromises, which is where you end up with a lot of street running segments that just get really, really slow. But considering that the other two options are a prohibitively expensive heavy rail metro system or no rapid transit at all, I would rather see these light rail systems than nothing at all. And do keep in mind, these light rail systems can be improved in the future. You could take a lot of the routes that you see in Dallas or Denver and eventually make them look like a light rail system in Vancouver or Seattle. Issue is, we don't actually see that happen very often. It really should happen more often because a lot of these systems just need a few minor improvements in order to improve dramatically, but it doesn't really ever seem to happen. Take Denver, for instance. If you can get rid of a couple deviations on the R line, the W line, and take some areas that are in traffic and put them in their own dedicated lane with transit signal priority, they would be sped up pretty significantly and be a lot more useful. Or take, for instance, the free mall ride in Denver. This one little bus line going from Union Station to Capitol Hill has more riders than all of the light rail lines combined. If you were to replace this one bus line with a streetcar with the existing LRT infrastructure, it would be the most used line automatically. I've also been saying for a while, build a light rail down Colfax from Capitol Hill to Aurora, or even a metro if you really want to, light rail underground, do something. That would be the most useful corridor in the Denver area. But yeah, they start out not great, but they can be improved, and improved a lot cheaper than a heavy rail system, so I don't think they're that bad. Sean RM4262 asks, will WMATA do the bloop after they're done with their current improvement projects, such as platform screen doors? To my knowledge, there are no official plans for expansions at this time, not even the bloop. I'm actually not even a huge fan of the bloop. I think it has a lot of problems, and I don't think it's worth building. I think making improvements to the current system or doing some expansions within DC is a much better use of funds right now. I think WMATA is taking very seriously its current system improvements, the platform screen doors just being one. They now have automatic train operations on the entire system again, for instance. Randy Clark's actually been doing a great job with this. Though if we were to see expansions, I would want to see them a little bit closer into the city, particularly maybe some light rail projects. Revitalizing the old Anacostia streetcar project I think would be pretty good, especially if it's done as a good LRT. I also think another good area for light rail would be connecting neighborhoods such as Woodley Park to Columbia Heights to Brentwood. North DC doesn't really have any good rail connections, this would fix that. The Hungry Transit fan asks, what's your favorite sandwich? I can go with almost any, chicken sandwich for the most part, but if we're talking just pure sandwich, here's my Subway order. Oven roasted turkey on Italian herbs and cheese toasted. Add on lettuce, tomato, olives, mayo, honey mustard, and black pepper. The Hungry Transit fan also asks, what's your favorite transit line? If we're talking worldwide, I can't say I know absolutely everything, but out of the systems that I am pretty well aware of, I would have to say it's the Norristown High-Speed Line. This line is unique without being a gadget-bon. It's also the best example of SEPTA's ability to get creative when it comes to operating transit. The DMV Transit Foamer asks, if we had to abandon one WMATA station, which would it be? The answer, surprisingly, is not Loudon Gateway. I think that station, if it had better bus connections, could actually be used as a decent circulator for the industrial jobs in the area. The one I would get rid of is actually Greensboro, or possibly McLean. Simply put, Tyson's has too many stations. Their catchment areas very much overlap with each other, and I think they do more harm slowing the Silver Line down than they do good serving these areas. Despite its lower ridership, I think Spring Hill is far enough away to justify its own existence. I have a lot of issues with the Silver Line alignment through Tyson's in general, if you couldn't tell. Shortline 819 asks, what are your thoughts on the Purple Line, and does light rail have a future in the DMV? I already answered a little bit on to if I think light rail has a future in the DMV from a previous question, but I'll go ahead and talk about the Purple Line. I think the Purple Line in most American cities would be a good project, but I don't think it's nearly as good of a project for the DMV. Simply put, DC has a world-class metro system. The Purple Line is not world-class. There are pretty good portions of it. I have very few complaints about the part from Bethesda to Silver Spring. In the area from New Carrollton to College Park is fine, I guess. But the stretch from Silver Spring to College Park has way too many stops and it's going to run way too slowly, getting constantly stuck in traffic. And I think DC deserves and needs a much better project in this area. I'm not saying we should halt construction and tear it up. It's already most of the way done. It's better than not having a rail connection there. I just think the Purple Line makes a mockery out of what WMATA, for instance, is capable of. There's also the fact that pretty much any transit project in the DMV not ran by WMATA has been an absolute disaster, so that doesn't really raise a lot of confidence. Lily the Rail Fan asks, how many off-brand versions of Dr. Pepper have you tried? Enough to know that they're not good. She then also asks, out of all of them you've tried, which one is the best? That would be Dr. Wham, which I've only found at one place ever, and that was a roadside rest stop on I-81 in rural Virginia near Newmarket. Gamwolfers asks, how would you compare the non-WMATA bus systems in Virginia to the non-WMATA systems in Maryland? I can't really speak too much on the systems of Virginia, I haven't really ridden them much. However, I can talk about the bus and Ride-On. Ride-On is doing a good job, but a confusing job. Their projects are actually pretty solid. I think they're a little bit too ambitious, and their names for their systems are utterly confusing. They need to simplify things a lot, but I think they're doing generally really good work. The bus is Prince George's County system, and it shows. PG County has this weird tendency to start these halfway decent urbanist projects and then just stop immediately after starting, it seems like, and their bus system is like that as well. Take the P2X, for example. It's supposed to be this express alternative route between Greenbelt and New Carrollton that only makes a few limited number of stops. However, all of these stops are pretty considerable deviations, and the route only runs on weekdays. It would be a good route if they followed all the way through with it, if that makes sense. Also, it just has a bad name. It needs to change its name. It's just the bus. 29 down the line asks, what cities and systems are on my transit bucket list? Right now, Boston, Chicago, San Francisco, Berlin, London, Paris, Melbourne, Tokyo, and Seoul. Basically, any of the large world-class systems or any larger systems with a unique aspect to it. There are some smaller systems or gadget bond routes I would like to ride at some point. The Wuppertal suspended monorail comes to mind, but for the most part, any large city with a unique aspect has my attention. That's all I have for you today. Make sure to click that like button if you liked the video, and there's a little red button down there somewhere you can click if you want to see more. Have a good one.